The 2025 NFL season is off to a roaring start. The teams are all jockeying for position, and we've actually seen quite a few surprises in terms of who's positioning themselves to contend come playoff time. On the other side of that coin, though, there have been a few supremely disappointing teams. And when you take a little look closer, it's clear that the underwhelming performance from their star players is the reason as to why. So, how about we zoom in and call out 10 of the most disappointing stars so far this year. Jamar Chase, WR, Cincinnati Bengals. Jamar Chase has been paid and praised as the alpha of Cincinnati's offense. But here's the thing, if you are truly an alpha, when Joe Burrow goes down, your job is not to check out. No, it's to step up. And so far, Chase has not done that. The contract, the highlights, the awards, all that screams franchise cornerstone, and yet, through 4 games, he's logged just 26 receptions for 264 yards and 1 touchdown. And if you take his monster Week 2 outing out of the equation, well, it starts to get ugly fast. 3 games with 50 receiving yards or less. No touchdowns. Only 12 catches? Ugh. And Week 4 might have been the most egregious. Against Denver, he caught 5 passes for just 23 yards and looked checked out on a number of different instances. Losing Burrow is a huge blow. We aren't here to argue that catching passes from a backup QB ain't gonna make things harder. But elites don't need perfect environments. Chase needed to show that he can be the kind of transcendent receiver and keep this team afloat while Burrow is on the mend. But instead, he's letting the offense sag. Meanwhile, the Bengals squander a good start to the season without their franchise quarterback. Trayvon Diggs, CB, Dallas Cowboys. Trayvon Diggs has always been the NFL's equivalent of a high roller. The 2021 interception leader, who has compiled 20 in his career, is known for his ability to guess, gamble, and succeed at a surprisingly high clip. I mean, when he guesses right, it's fireworks. That's how he built his brand in the NFL. But so far in 2025, the table's been cold. Real cold. Opposing quarterbacks are targeting him relentlessly, and they are cashing in. He keeps getting cooked by double moves and deep shots for backbreaking completions. The Cowboys' defense has been an absolute nightmare without Micah Parsons up front, and it is clearly having a downstream effect on Diggs. Right now, the Cowboys are getting all the risk, none of the reward. Which, needless to say, has been yet another disappointment for America's team. Derrick Henry, RB, Baltimore Ravens. Man, it has been a tough start to the year for King Henry in the Charm City. For as much praise as he got during his first year as a Raven for being timeless, he's now getting the equal and opposite reaction because of how much of a disappointment he and, well, the rest of that team, if we're being honest, have been so far. At first glance, Henry's numbers look fine. 284 yards, 3 touchdowns, nearly 6 yards per carry. But then you realize that he's also fumbled 3 times in 4 games, and in 3 straight weeks, he's been held to under 50 yards. And to make matters worse, the fumbles have come at extremely inopportune times, all but costing Baltimore not 1, but 2 games. That is a far cry from the King Henry that we've come to expect. He's supposed to be a guy that simply can't be bottled up, but he is not out there dictating games the way he once did. The Ravens brought him in to give them an unstoppable hammer next to Lamar Jackson. Baltimore has to hold out hope that Henry is still dangerous, that he'll have a game where he looks like the monster again. But week to week, he's been more mortal than royal. And if the Ravens are gonna get this ship turned around and become the contender that everyone expected them to be coming into the season, well, he's gonna have to pick it up. Cooper Kupp, WR, Seattle Seahawks. There is no easy way to say it. Father Time is undefeated. And it looks like he's starting to catch up with Cooper Kupp. This is a guy who won the receiving triple crown in 2021. Receptions, yards, touchdowns. He's been one of the most reliable and versatile wideouts in the entire league. But through the first month in Seattle, well, he's looked more like a role player than a star. He has done a nice job blocking and setting the tone for younger wide receivers, but his actual production has been quite underwhelming. Through 4 games, he's put up 15 catches, 162 yards, 0 touchdowns. Yeah, not exactly what you'd expect from a player with his pedigree. He's no longer flipping games. He's not striking fear into secondaries. He's not even the reliable chain mover. Cooper Kupp has hit the stage of his career where he is, well, really just another guy. Derek Brown, DE, Carolina Panthers. If you polled Panthers fans back in August, Derek Brown was the guy that they were circling as the centerpiece of that young defense this year. They finally saw the return that they were expecting from the former 7th overall pick in 2023 when he made his first Pro Bowl, only then to have him miss 16 games last year with injuries. So, needless to say, the excitement and expectations were high this year once they got word that he was going to be back to start the season. I mean, after all, Brown is a freak athlete inside. Huge frame, heavy hands, and when he's right, he collapses pockets at an elite level. But man, a month in and it's just fine. Yeah, just fine. But fine is not what they were hoping for. Far too often on the tape, we see him stuck in a stalemate, standing up instead of driving linemen back. The splash plays are few and far between. Carolina badly needs him to be its anchor. This was supposed to be his defense to own, but instead, well, he's just another guy doing his job. For a former top 10 pick in his prime, that's a bit of a disappointment. Calvin Ridley, WR. Tennessee Titans. If there was ever a year set up for Calvin Ridley to prove that he still had star juice, it was this one. The Titans went all in on rookie quarterback Cam Ward with the top pick in the draft. And hey, what better way to reestablish yourself as a legit wide receiver one than to make life easier for your young signal caller that the front office and coaching staff has tied their futures to. Coming into this year, Ridley was supposed to be that guy, the shifty but reliable route runner that could serve as a security blanket and keep the chains moving for his rookie. But instead, 4 weeks in, Ridley has been closer to invisible than invaluable. Just 10 catches for 141 yards and 0 touchdowns. That's not even starting wide receiver production, let alone wide receiver one. For a player who was hyped as the Titans' lead option, it has to be embarrassing to be such a non-factor. Watch the games and, well, it's been even more frustrating. Ridley isn't consistently separating, and when he does, he and Ward look out of sync. Maybe some of that's the challenge of trying to find chemistry with a rookie quarterback, but the flip side is that the Titans needed him to be the guy who smoothed over Ward's bumps. But instead, he's just adding to them. Sauce Gardner, CB, New York Jets. If you asked 10 NFL fans last year who the best corner in the game was, at least half of them would have said Sauce Gardner. The guy came into the league looking like a bona fide pro and started earning accolades right out the gate, proving himself to be among the top lockdown corners in the game. Fast forward to 2025 and, well, the story's changed. Quarterbacks aren't scared anymore. They're going at him and, well, they're succeeding. Through 4 games, Sauce has allowed a 94 passer rating when targeted and has given up chunk plays at over 14 yards per reception. His overall grade through 4 games from PFF is stuck at 63.6, 60th out of 164. A far cry for a player that was already heralded as one of the top corners in the game. Of all the players on this list, he is the one that we are least concerned about in the big picture. I mean, the Jets are a dumpster fire and playing corner on a team as dysfunctional as New York has to be a chore. But still, that does not change the fact that, well, he's been a huge disappointment so far. Geno Smith, QB, Las Vegas Raiders. Geno Smith's comeback story was one of the best in football a few years ago, but 2025 in Las Vegas with Pete Carroll is, well, looking like the sequel that nobody really asked for. Raiders fans hoped that they were getting a veteran steadying hand. You know, the guy who would be able to manage the game and let their defense do the heavy lifting to help stabilize as the new coaching regime settled in. But so far through 4 games, Geno has looked all out of sorts. He's thrown 7 interceptions and posted a QBR in the low 40s. Now, it is reminiscent of the old Geno, but that's not exactly a good thing. Throwing throws into double coverage, missing open guys, and looking rattled in crunch time. That's not what you bring in a veteran quarterback to do. Now, to be fair, there are still some flashes. Geno will still rip a throw into a tight window now and then, but man, those moments are drowned out by the mistakes and by the losing. Xavier Howard, CB, Indianapolis Colts. It is rare that a season is so disappointing that it unceremoniously ends a career. But that's exactly what we saw play out in Indianapolis with Xavier Howard. Howard signed with the Colts to be that steady veteran presence in their secondary, a savvy ball hawk who could still give them one last good year. But his final act was a reminder of just how brutal this league can really be. Through the first 3 weeks of the season, Howard was targeted often, and the numbers were rough. Passer ratings against him were up in the 130s, and he looked to step slow cover in deep routes. Yeah, the instincts were still there, but the recovery speed just wasn't. But it hit a new low in his last game, the one that shockingly pushed him into retirement and cemented his status as one of the biggest disappointments of 2025. He was absolutely torched by Puka Nacua, who made him look every bit his age, as the wideout racked up 13 catches for 170 yards and a score. Look, it's never fun when a career ends, but sometimes, when it's time, it's time. And oh boy, it looked like it was time. It's disappointing not because he didn't have a great career. He did. It was wonderful. He led the NFL in interceptions once, made multiple Pro Bowls, and for a stretch, he was one of the most dangerous ball hawks in the entire game. But Colts fans expected him to be a big contributor this year, and to hold the line while the young guys developed. But instead, they got a fading star whose body just couldn't keep up. So much to the point that he just called it quits. Breece Hall, RB, New York Jets. Breece Hall was drafted to New York a couple of years back to be the guy, to dominate touches, to make defenses respect the run game. And now, well, he's just kind of looking like another back. The talent is not the question. Hall still looks the part, but through 4 weeks, the production does not match the hype, and it has left Jets fans feeling underwhelmed. He has 52 carries for 238 yards, averaging 4.6 yards per carry. Decent production, but modest for a player of Hall's caliber. And when you factor in the fact that he hasn't scored a single rushing touchdown or been effective enough at taking pressure off of Justin Fields in the passing game, the disappointment continues to mount. This was supposed to be the year that he took over as one of the premier running backs in football, and frankly, the centerpiece of the Jets offense. But instead, it's been steady, but far from spectacular. But hey, which NFL star has been the biggest disappointment to you thus far in the 2025 season? Who do you think we're right on here? Who do you think we're wrong about? Was there anyone that we may have missed? Let us know in the comments section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.